The subtopics: methods of handling deadlocks, deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance and detection, and recovery from deadlock. Let us see what is deadlock. In multi-programming environment, several processes may compete for the finite number of resources. Resource means printers, scanners, or the logical resources like synapses. A process requests the resource. If resources are available, then process gets it. But if resources are not available at that time, then process enters into the wait state. Now waiting process may never again get the change the state because the resources they have requested are held by some another waiting processes. This situation is called as the dead. Now deadlock can be compared with the example, that is, when two trains approaches each other at a crossing, both shall come to the full stop and neither shall start up again until the other has passed. Now the system model for the deadlock. Now the system consists of resources and the processes. Resources set is represented by n number of resources Rn into Rn, and the example of resources are CPU cycles, memory spaces, and I/O devices. Each resource type Ri has the Wi instance. Now consider there are 10 printers, then printer will act as a resource type, and there are 10 instances of the resource printer. Now if we will consider the next example as the two scanners, then scanner is a resource type and there are two instances of resource type scanner. Now each process utilizes these resources in three steps. First of all, process request for the resource. When it gets it, it uses the resource, and after using it, it releases the resource. Now when we consider the deadlock, now for deadlock to occur, there are four conditions that should hold simultaneously. The first one is the mutual exclusion. In mutual exclusion, at least one resource must be held in a non-shareable mode, that is, only one process at a time can use the resource. If another process requests that resource, the requesting process must be delayed until the resource has been released. Now the next condition is hold and wait. A process must be in the holding at least one resource and waiting to acquire additional resources that are currently being held by another processes. Third condition is no preemption. The resources cannot be preempted. That is, the resources can be released only voluntarily by processes holding it. After that, the process has completed its task. Last one is the circular way. Consider there are set of n waiting processes that must exist such that P0 is waiting for resources that is held by P1. P1 is waiting for the resources held by P2, and Pn-1 is waiting for the resource held by Pn, and so on. The next is resource allocation graph. Now the deadlock can precisely represented by the graphical structure called as the resource allocation graph. The graph consists of vertices and the set of edges. The vertex set is partitioned into two types, that is set of processes and set of resources. Now there is the set of edge. The edge set is again subdivided into two or partitioned into two sets, that is the directed edge from process to request called as the request edge, and the assignment edge which is directed from resource to the process. Now processes are represented by circle and resources are represented by rectangle. Now if it is single instance resource, at that time only follow rectangle is used. But it is multiple instance resource, then the rectangle shows some dots, and those dots are nothing but the instances. In this example, there are 4 instances of resource type R. Now there is a request edge from process P to resource R. But whenever there is assignment age, there should be age from particular instance to the process. But in the case of request age, there is age from P0 to the outer rectangle, that is to the code resource. That means it is requesting for any of the instance. Here, consider the example of resource allocation graph. In this example, there are 3 processes and there are 4 resources. The resource R1 has single instance, R2 has 2 instances, R3 has single instance and R4 has 3 instances. Now, process P1 is requesting for resource R1 and process P1 get allocated with resource R2. Similarly, process P2 is allocated with resource R1 and R2, and it is process P2 is requesting R3. Now process P3 is waiting, process P3 is allocated with R3. Now we can say there is deadlock in the system if there exists a cycle. In particular graph, there is a cycle that is from P1 R1, P2 R2, P1. Now whenever, so that P1, P2, P3 are deadlock processes. Why? Because P2 is waiting for the resource which is held by P3. Now consider the next diagram in which P3 is waiting for resource R2. This is the request age. Now these 3 processes are deadlocked because there is another cycle P1 R1, P2 R3, P3 R2, P1. Now P3 is waiting for R2 which is held by P2 and P2 is waiting for R3 which is held by P3. Now P3 will not release the resource till it gets the next resource, and P2 will again not release the resource till it will get the resource. Now consider the next diagram in which there is a cycle but there is no deadlock. Now there is cycle from P1 R1, P3 R2, P1. But consider whenever P4 release the resource, at that time this P3 will get access to the resource R2, and now this request age will be converted into assignment age from R2 to P3. That means whenever there is no cycle in the graph, there is no deadlock. But if there is a cycle in the graph, there are 2 possibilities. If the resource is of type single instance, then there is deadlock. That is, for single instance resource type, the cycle in the graph is necessary as well as sufficient condition for deadlock to occur. But in the case of several instance resource type, the possibility of deadlock is there if there is cycle. That is, it is only sufficient condition but not the necessary condition. Now methods for handling the deadlock. Now whenever, first thing, ensure that the system will never enter into the deadlock. That is, there are 2 methods called like the deadlock prevention and deadlock avoidance. Next is allow the system to enter into deadlock state and recover it. And the last one is ignore the problem and pretend that deadlock never occurs in the system. This method is used by most of the operating system, including the Unix operating system. Now let us go through all 4 methods. First is deadlock prevention. In deadlock prevention, we will check whether all 4 conditions, necessary conditions for deadlock to occur will never happen. That is, the 4 conditions are mutual exclusion, hold and wait, circular wait and no prevention. Now first one is mutual exclusion. The mutual exclusion condition must hold for the non-shareable resources. For example, printer cannot be simultaneously shared by the several processes. Shareable resources on other hand do not require mutually exclusive access and thus cannot be involved in the deadlock. The read-only files are the good example of shareable resources. If several processes attempt to open the read-only file at the same time, they can be granted the simultaneous access to the file. A process never needs to wait for the shareable resources. In general, we cannot prevent the deadlocks by denying the mutual exclusion condition. Some resources are non-shareable. Now the next case is hold and wait. To ensure that the hold and wait condition never occur in the system, we must guarantee that whenever process requests a resource, it does not hold any other resources. One protocol that can be used to require each process to request and allocate all its resources before it begins the execution. We can implement this provision by requiring the system calls requesting the resource for the process proceed all other system calls. An alternative protocol allows a process to request the resource only when the process has none. A process may request some resources use them before it can request any other additional resource. However, it must release all the resources that it is currently allocated. The next method is no preemption. Before that, we will see the disadvantage of hold and wait. There are two disadvantages, that is low resource utilization and the starvation. The low resource utilization may occur whenever resources are held for a long time without using it, and the starvation may possible if process is not available for a longer time when the request is sent multiple times. Now next is no preemption. If a process that is holding some resources requests another resource that cannot be immediately allocated to it, then all resources currently being held are released. The preempted resources are added to the list of resources for which the process is waiting. The process will be restarted only when it can re-again its old resources as well as the new ones that is requested. And the last one is circular wait. It imposes a total ordering of all resource types and requires that each process requests resources in increasing order of enumeration. By considering all these four criteria, still if we cannot prevent the deadlock, then we will be going for the deadlock avoidance methods. Now in deadlock avoidance method, there are various algorithms exist. Here, it requires that the system has additional prior information available, and this includes the information about the number of resources required in future. It is simplest and most useful model that requires the maximum number of resources of each type that may be needed. The deadlock avoidance algorithm dynamically examines the resource allocation state to ensure that there can never be a circular wait condition. The resource allocation state is defined by the number of available and allocated resources and the maximum demand of processes. Now set state. When the process requests an available resource, the system must decide if immediate allocation leaves the system into the safe state. The system is in the safe state if there exists a sequence of processes P1 to Pn of all processes in the system such that for each process Pi, the resource that Pi can still request can be satisfied by currently available resources as well as resources held by all the Pj's with the j less than I. That is, if Pi resource needs are not immediately available, then Pi can wait until all Pj have finished. When Pj is finished, Pi can obtain the needed resources, executes and return allocated resources and terminates. When Pi terminates, Pi plus 1 can obtain its needed resources and so on. That is, if system is in the safe state, there is no deadlock. If system is in the unsafe state, there is possibility of deadlock. And our deadlock avoidance system ensures that system will never enter into the unsafe state. Now this diagram explains the deadlock and the safe state relation. If the system is in the safe state, there is no deadlock. But if system is in the unsafe state, at that time there are chances of deadlock occurs. Now deadlock avoidance algorithm. There are two types of deadlock avoidance algorithm. First is for the single instance resource type, and here we will use the resource allocation graph algorithm for single instance resource type. Now for multiple instance resource type, we will be using Banker's algorithm. Let us see about the resource allocation graph. In resource allocation graph, there is age added called as the claim age from Pi to Rj indicates that the process Pj may be request resource Rj represented by dashed line. It is similar to request age, but the difference is that the request age is represented by solid line and the claim age is represented by the dashed line. The claim age can convert it to the request age whenever process requests a resource. The request age is converted into an assignment age when the resource is allocated to process. When a resource is released by the process, the assignment age will be converted into the claim age. Now resource must be claimed prior in the system. Now we will see the example of safe state. Now here consider the system with 12 magnetic tape drives and the 3 processes. Now P0, P1 and P2. The process P0 requires 10 tape drives. The process P1 may need 4 and process P2 may need 9 tape drives. Suppose that at time T0, the process P0 is holding the 5 tape drives, P1 is holding the 2 tape drives and P3 is holding the 2 tape drives. Now we have to find the safe sequence. The safe sequence is nothing but the sequence in which the processes are executed so that all process requirements will be satisfied. Now here we will consider the process P0 first. Now for P0 there are 10 resources, need is 10 resources and currently satisfied is 5. So 5 more instances or the 5 more resources are required to satisfy the requirement. But here only 3 tape drives are available. Now how these 3 tape drives are available? Out of 12, 5 are already allocated to P0, 2 to the P1 and 2 to the P2. That means 5 plus 2 plus 2 are allocated to the P0, P1, P2. That means already 9 resources are allocated out of 12. So the remaining drives are nothing but 3. But the need for P0 is 5. So it can't be satisfied with the 3 resources. Now go to the next one. That is here the requirement of P1 is 4 and already allocated is 2. That means to complete the execution of process P1, it will require 2 more resources. Now whenever there are 3 resources available, P1 can get the 2 resources. Now here the process P1 can get the 2 more resources and completes its quota of 4 resources and executes completely. After execution, it will release the resources and the resources will be available to the next process. Now after executing the process P1, we will get 3 resources plus these 2 resources, that is we will get the 5 resources. So we will go to the next one, that is process P2. Now for executing process P2, we will require 7 more resources, but now the available resources are 5. Again go to P0. Now check for the number of resources required. Out of 10, 5 are already present. So 5 more resources are required and those will be satisfied by the available resources. Now after execution, this P0 will release all its resources and now we will be checking for this P2 process Now for this P2 process, the required are 7 more resources are required to complete the execution, and now as P0 release 5 resources and 3 resources are already available, so the requirement of 7 resources is easily available, and the safe sequence is P1, P0 and P2. For your reference, I am attaching here the solution of the previous problem, where the safe sequence is P1, P0 and P2. Now pause the video and just go through the solution of this example. Now here see the resource allocation graph, in which there is a claim edge from P2 to R2, P1 to R2, there is assignment edge from R1 to P1, and there is request edge from P2 to R1. Now in resource allocation graph, suppose that process Pi requests a resource Rj. The request can be granted only if converting the request edge to the assignment edge does not result in the formation of cycle in the resource allocation graph. We check for the cycle because if cycle is there, there are chances of deadlock, and in single instance resource allocation graph, if cycle is present, then there is a deadlock. Now next is the banker algorithm. Banker algorithm is used for the multiple instance resources. Now the name given as the banker's algorithm, as it is using in the banking system to ensure that the bank never allocates its all available cash such that it can no longer satisfy the need of all customers. So the banker's algorithm, the name is chosen to ensure that in the banking system, to ensure that the bank never allocates its available cash such that it can no longer satisfy the needs of all its customers. Now for this, we must know basically the banker's algorithm is used whenever there are multiple instances of the resources. Then each process must a priori claim maximum use. When the process requests a resource, it may have to wait. When the process gets all the resources, it must returns them in the finite amount of time. Now here the data structures used in the banker's algorithm. In banker algorithm, consider there are n number of processes and m number of resources. Now the first data structure is available, that is vector of length n. If available of j is equal to k, there are k instances of resource type Rj available. Now max is the n by n matrix. If the matrix Rj is equal to k, then process Pi may request at most k instances of the resource type Rj. The allocation is again same dimensions, that is n by n matrix. If allocation of Ij is equal to k, then Pi is currently allocated k instances of Rj. Need matrix is again n by n matrix. If need of Ij is equal to k, then Pi may need the k more instances of Rj to complete the task. And how to find the need? Need can be found, that is need of Ij is equal to max of Ij minus allocation of Ij. Now there are two algorithms involved in the banker's algorithm. First is the resource safety algorithm, and next is the resource allocation. For the safety allocation, we will consider the two variables, that is work and the finish. And the length is, the vector work is of the length m and the finish is of length n. Now initially work is equal to available, and we will be assigning finish of I is equal to false for all the processes 0 to n minus 1. Now find the I such that both conditions, that is finish of I is equal to false and need should be less than work. If no such I exists, then we will go for finish is equal to true Else we will find out the new work, that is work is equal to work plus allocation, and then we will set the flag of finish of I is equal to true. Now when for all I, if finish of I is equal to true, then we can say that the system is in the safe state. Now next algorithm is resource request algorithm, which finds the safe sequence. Now request of I is the request vector for process Pi. If request of Ij is equal to k, then process Pi wants the k instances of resource type Rj. If request I is less than the need I, then we will check whether the request is less than available. If request is less than available, then we will calculate the new available as available is equal to available minus request and allocation is equal to allocation plus request. Then again revise the need as need is equal to need minus request. Now if there is the safe, the resources are allocated to Pi. If it is unsafe, Pj must wait and all resources allocation state is restored. Now let us explain the Banker's algorithm by using the example. Now consider there are 5 processes P0 to P4 and there are 3 resources with the multiple instances. Remember here the resource types are A, B and C. A are having 10 instances, B is having 5 instances and C is having the 7 instances. And the initial map of this Banker's algorithm is given. There are 5 processes P0 to P4 and its allocation maximum is given. Allocation is 0, 1, 0. Means for P0 currently 0 instances of type A resource are allocated, 1 instance of P type resources are allocated and 0 instances of C type are allocated. Now what is the maximum requirement of P0 of type A? It is 7. The maximum requirement of P0 of resource type B is 5 and the requirement of P0 of resource type C is 3. Similarly, for all the processes P1, P2, P3, P4, this column represents the maximum requirement of each process of resource type A, B and C, and the first column represents the allocation or the currently allocated instance of each type. For example, for process P3, the maximum requirement is 2, 2, 2, that is 2 instances of resource type A, 2 instances of resource type B and 2 instances of resource type C, out of which the P3 currently gets the 2 instances of resource type A, 1 instance of resource type B and 1 instance of resource type C. Now in Banker's algorithm, when such an example is given, we have to find whether the system is in the safe state or not. If all the process, that is P0 to P4, gets the resources, then we can say that the system is in the safe state and the deadlock can be avoided. Let us see the steps. Now first of all we will calculate the need of every process. Now how to calculate need? Need can be calculated as max minus allocation. For example, for P0 the maximum requirement is 753 and allocation is 0, 1, 0. Now for calculating the need of P0, we will be going 7 minus 0, that is 7, then 5 minus 1, that is 4, and here 3 minus 0, that is 3. Similarly, calculate for all remaining processes, that is the maximum requirement of particular resource type minus the allocation of particular resource type to that process. Again we will see for the last one, that is for the P4 process, the maximum requirement for A type resource is 4 and actually allocated 0. So it will require 4 more resources of type A. Similarly, for type B, there is requirement of 3 resources and 0 are currently allocated. So the maximum need is 3. Now here 3 instances of C type are required and already allocated are 2. So one more resource of type C is required by process P3. I hope all of you clear up to this part. Now next step is to find out whether P1 will get allocated or get executed or it will remain in the waiting state. Let us start with the next step. Now for the next step we will compare need with the available. If need is less than available, then allocate the process, otherwise process will wait further. Now consider process P0. Now for P0 we will see the need is 743, that means 7 resources of type A, 4 instances of type B and 3 instances of type C. That is the need of process P0. Now currently what is available? In the example it is given that the available resources of type A are 3, of type B are 3 and of type C are 2. That means the need is not less than available. Need is greater than available. So P0 must wait. Now we will go to the next process, that is for P1. Now check for P1. For P1 need is 1, 2, 2 and the available is 3, 3, 2. That means the need is less than available. So process P1 executes. Now once process gets executed, add that process into the save sequence. Now currently only one process is added to the save sequence, that is nothing but process P1. Now calculate the new available. When process is executed, then and then only we will calculate the new available. Now calculate the new available as current available plus allocation of that process. Now we will calculate new available as available plus allocation of P1. Now what is the old available? It is 3, 3, 2 and the allocation of the process P0 is 0, 1, 0. Allocation of process P1 is 200. So the new available will be 532. That is 2 of type A plus 3 of type A, that is 5. 3 plus 0 and 2 plus 0. Don't consider this as 332 or 232. It is 3 instances of type A separately, 3 instances of type B separately and 2 instances of type separately. Now as P1 executes, add. Now the new available is equal to 532. We will write it here by using the blue color I have shown. Now go to the next one, that is the next process is the P2 process. Now for P2 process it needs 600 and the available is 532. That means need is greater than available. So process P2 is 0. 600 is greater than 532, which will violate the given condition. So P2 has to wait. Now go to the next process. Next process is process P3. Now for P3 the need is 011 and currently the available is 532. That means need is less than available. So we will execute P3. Now after executing P3, add this P3 to the save sequence. Now the save sequence is P1, P3. P1 executes first, then P3 executes. Then calculate the new available. Remember we calculate the new available only when the process executes. Now new available is equal to currently available, that is 532 plus allocation of process P3. Here mistakenly I have written P1. It should be allocation of P3. Now it will be allocation of P3 will be 211. That is 532 plus 211 will give you 743. Now new available will be 743. Okay. Now go to the next process. The next process is P4 process. Now check for P4 process. The requirement or the need of P4 process is 431 and the available is 743. That is 431 is less than 743. So P4 executes. When process executes, add that process to the save sequence. Now the save sequence is P1, P3 and now added P4. Now then calculate the new available. that is current available is 743 plus the allocation of, again here P4, allocation of P4. What is allocation of P4? 0, 0, 2. Here the allocation of P4, not the P1. 743 plus 0, 0, 2 will give you 745. Now at this place we traverse all the processes P0, P1, P2, P3 and P4, but only executed processes are P1, P3 and P4. Now again we will revisit P0 and P2 because they are still waiting for the resource allocation. Now we will revisit the process P0. Now for P0, what is the requirement? The need is 743 and what is the current available? It is 745. As 743, that is need, is less than available, then P0 execute. Now P0 is executed, so add this P0 to the set sequence and now calculate the new available. New available is equal to current available, that is 745 plus allocation of the process P0. Now what is the allocation of process P0? It is 0, 1, 0. 745 plus 010, that is 755. That is the new allocation. Write it down here. That is 755 is the new allocation. Now the next process will be process P2. Now for process P2, sorry, the need for process P2, check, it is 600. And what is the current available? Current available is 755. So here need is less than available, so we will execute P2. Here write it P2 and now add this P2 to the save sequence and calculate the new available. How to calculate new available? It is current available, that is 755 plus allocation of P2, that is allocation of P2 302, which will give you 1057. Now at this stage all the processes, that is P0 to P4, are added into the save sequence and the sequence is P1 executes first, then P3, then P4, then P0 and then P2. That means all 5 processes are present into the save state. That means our system is into the save state and there is no deadlock, that is deadlock avoidance. Now the Banker's algorithm gives you the save sequence. If all processes are in the save sequence after traversing the whole process set, then we can say that the system is in the save state. Now here consider at the end the total number of resources are 1057, which is nothing but all the resources given in the example. That is, there are 10 instances of type A, 5 instances of type B and 7 instances of type C. Now again we will go to the next example, in which the question is, for the same example, if before starting with the traversing, if there comes a request, that is P1 request for the 102. Now how to solve such a type of example? Now whenever such a request comes, the initial available value given as 332. Now as 332 is the available number of resources and P1 requires 102, so need is less than available. As need is less than available, P1 gets the resources, P1 will execute and now we will update the available. Now how to update the available? As P1 is executed before starting with our whole process, then we will subtract this requirement from the available. Now what will be the new available? New available will be 230. Now at this stage, by considering the new available set, that is 230, you try to solve the same example instead of 332. Now in our new example, it will be 230. Try to solve this example and find out the safe sequence. Now pause this video and try to solve this example. After solving this example, Again consider the next two problem statements, as the next problem statement is, for the system, can the request 330 by P4 be granted or not? Now initially it is 230. Now check for the need matrix and the available matrix and check for the solution. The process can only get the resources if need is less than the available resources. Otherwise it will not execute the process. Okay. The next is deadlock detection. Up till now we have seen the deadlock prevention and deadlock avoidance. But if deadlock occurs, then what are the actions? These are the actions in the deadlock recovery and the deadlock detection. Now when we consider the deadlock detection, it allows the system to enter into the deadlock state. It will not go for the deadlock prevention or deadlock avoidance, but deadlock will occur here. Once deadlock will occur, there will be detection algorithms and there are some recovery schemes. Now for single resource of each resource type, they will go for maintaining wait for graph. Now wait for graph is similar to the resource allocation graph. Here we will exclude the resources and we will keep only the process nodes. Now periodically invoke an algorithm that search for the cycle in the graph. If there is a cycle, there exists a deadlock. An algorithm to detect the cycle in the graph requires an order of n square operations where n is the number of vertices in the graph. Let us see the example. The left side graph represents the resource allocation graph in which nodes are resources as well as processes. There are 5 processes from P1 to P5 and there are 5 resources from R1, R2, R3, R4 and R5. Now we will convert this resource allocation graph into corresponding wait for graph. Now there is the age in the wait for graph from process Pi to Pj only if there is age from Pi to Rj and Rj to Pk. That means if P1 is requesting for resource R1 which is held by process P2. Now in this particular example, consider P1 R1 P2. There is the requesting age from P1 to R1 and there is assignment age from R1 to P2. So this part of resource allocation graph will be converted into this part, that is wait age from P1 to P2 in the wait for graph. Similarly, we will check for the P2 to P5. Now in this P2 to P5, there is the request from P2 for resource R3 and this resource is held by P5. So there is age from P2 to P5. Similarly, there is age from P2 to P3 as the resource R4. P2 is requesting for R4 which is held by P3. So there is age from P2 to P3 in the wait for graph. Now in the wait for graph, the algorithm searches for the cycle. If there is cycle, then there is the detection algorithm. The cycle means there is a deadlock, similar to our resource allocation graph. Now next is several instances of the resource type. Here we will use the data structures, that is the available, allocation and request. These are somewhat data structures similar to the data structures used in the banker's algorithm, which we have seen in the deadlock avoidance scheme. Now in the detection algorithm, again there are two variables, work and finish. Here work is equal to available and for all the processes the allocation is not equal to 0, then finish of I is equal to false, otherwise it is true. That means if there are some allocations, then finish is true. Now find an index I such that both finish of I is equal to false and request is less than or equal to 1. If no such I exists, then go to the next step, that is finish of I is equal to false, and then system is in the deadlock state. Otherwise, we will update the variable work, that is work is equal to work plus allocation, and reset the flag as a true. Now after detection, next is recovery from deadlock, that is process termination. For recovery from deadlock, it aborts all the deadlock processes. Abort one process at a time until the deadlock cycle is eliminated. Now there is a question, in which order should we choose the abort process to abort? So there are several ways, that is priority of the processes. The process with least priority will be selected first. The next is how long processes has been completed and how much longer to completion. Resources the process has used. The resources process needs to complete. How many processes will need to be terminated? Each process interactive or batch. Now there are some parameters, that is selecting the victim. One should select a victim such that it should minimize the cost. The next is rollback. Rollback is return to some safe state and restart the process for that state. And next is starvation. Same process may always be picked up as a victim, including number of rollback in the cost factor. So in this way we completed the deadlock. Here we first of all have seen what is deadlock, then the system model for representing processes and the resources, that is resource allocation graph. Then we have seen the methods for deadlock prevention. There are 4 methods included in the 4 factors included in deadlock prevention, that is mutual exclusion, no preemption, circular web, hold and wait. Then we have seen deadlock avoidance, in which for single instance resources the resource allocation graph is used, and for the multiple instance resources Banker's algorithm is used. Banker algorithm is the deadlock avoidance algorithm which can find the safe sequence of processes. If we cannot generate the safe sequence of all the processes in the system, then there may be the deadlock. If the same safe sequence is received, that means there is no deadlock. Now after that we have seen the deadlock detection by using wait for graph, and the deadlock recovery by deleting or aborting all deadlock closing processes. Thank you. Hope you understood and you will solve the assignment 4. Thank you.